All right, I can hear you backstage. Oh, there you are.
There you are. What's up, buddy?
Well, it's a little odd because normally it's you coming in first with "Hello, everybody." Not bad.
No, not too shabby. Not too shabby. Little work, but we can coach it. We can coach you up.
La 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 la. We're used to having Wit off the hop here. Of course, Wit being the diva is a little bit late. Oh, Grinelli just Houdini'd there.
Whitney Houston.
We were gonna put the Chiclets Cup on hold, guys. It's we never have really gotten to do this an AMA. Normally they're done on Reddit, right? RA?
You thought it was a sex thing, didn't you, Biz? Admit it.
It does sound very bondish. Is that the word? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. There could be an S&M quality to it. I've actually never done one. So I'm pretty excited to do one. I'm glad we have moderators, though.
What, you're talking about the AMA or the S&M?
Hey, I'm down for anything. A couple more of these.
So this is great. Like, we never really get to have fans ask us question. Wit's gonna hop on here very soon, but we need you guys just as much as you need us, if that's even the case. So this is going to be fun. We'll snap it around. Hopefully there's a lot of hockey questions, and then maybe some really, really random ones for RA, because that's when things can get real fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down for anything. You know my rule. Just no family, no friends like that. Anything else, fuck yeah, I'll answer anything. I like this shit.
Hey, it's funny how we actually wore the same hat.
Well, I actually have my Oakland A's hat on, but it's so fucking hot here. It's a wool hat. I was sweating my nuggets off, so I had to switch to the mesh. Dude, I could grow a mullet right now. Look at my hair.
Hey, you should do a skullet for.
I can do an L.I. Afraidy right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Smoke butts between periods.
Actually, you know what? Since I already led off with one, and it was like a East Coast League version of a hello. Can we get one from the OG?
Sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever Spittin Chiclets AMA with me, Biz, a little bit Toddy, Wit, and our boy Grinelli is backstage doing the moderating. Hopefully, we get a good crowd tonight. It's nice to see some people on the comments already. They're not being too many peckerheads on there, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, guys, this isn't meant for be anything other than like hockey questions and having a good time. I have a girlfriend now, and I'm at a different stage in my life, so those old stories are for the old times. I'm trying to get a little bit more mature in my. It took me a little while, RA.
Yeah, it's all right. It took me a while.
35 years to mature up. So let's get the first question going here. Where is it? It's up on the board,
right there.
I'll read it because this is a short enough sentence, so I don't mess it up.
Can't cancel my 8:30.
How do you think the Leafs are going to do under the new playoff format? Oh my God, I almost messed that one up. I'll let you answer that one, all right?
How are the Leafs going to do under the new? I don't think the new playoff format is going to affect any one team more or less than the other. I think it's just going to come out and it's going to be who wants it more, especially now more than ever with no fans there. If it's an empty rink, it's just going to be who plays better and who wants it more. So the Leafs don't have any advantage or disadvantage in this new format. Like every other team.
I think the complete opposite, and I actually think there's an advantage for the Leafs, and this is why I think so. When they come back, normally progressive throughout a season, the reffing kind of gets, I would say, a little looser and looser, right? At the start of the year, a lot of penalties being called because they want to enforce all the rules. And as you get to playoff time, it's a little more physical, a little bit more holding, clutching and grabbing. With the reboot, I think they're going to call it much like the start of the season. And I think given the fact that Leafs are kind of like a high-flying offensive type team, that they're going to benefit in the fact that it's not only being called a lot, tighter because more power play special teams, but also that the fact that earlier in the season, it's a little bit more like pawn hockey. And you always saw that one guy in training camp where you're like, oh my God, this guy's going to have 40 this year. And all of a sudden the physicality comes into play more and more and they disappear. I think that for the Leafs, it'll be a nice entryway and to get some playoff exposure for these young guys. And who knows, they might even go on a little run.
Yeah, I remember those training camps well, baby, I'll tell you. All right, next up, I'll read this one. Would you rather be trapped in a cage with a tiger for 10 minutes or eat nothing but peanut butter for a year?
Oh, peanut butter. That's like an awful question.
Yeah, I mean, would you rather risk a fucking hungry tiger mauling you to death or eat peanut butter, nothing but peanut butter for a year?
Here, actually, a spinoff question from that. Arian Foster thought that he could beat up a wolf, or he still thinks he can. Did you remember the tweet that ended up going viral?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that crazy given it's life or death. Wolf's not a tiger, right?
No, wolf is a dog.
No, I'm saying is like as far as on the toughness scale. Would you
not
put
even close? Not even close.
So I think that it's just like it'd be like a dog on steroids, a wolf. Is that a good comparison?
That's basically what a wolf is. It's a dog. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, maybe a couple key tokes too, but they get that like that the wires cross to like a different level, but I don't think he was off base with that one. So I kind of spun that terrible question into a even worse one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a man has probably killed a wolf before with his bare hands.
Okay, do we have another one? Another question here?
Let's see. RA, would you rather give up your favorite food or listen to Biz read statements for 24 hours straight?
Who wrote that question? That was probably RA submitted that as his own question.
I don't know this person. Nicholas Ross. Would I rather give up my favorite food or listen to Biz read statements?
You won't offend me, RA.
I know that. I can't give up pizza. I mean, this is not going to happen. Pizza is my favorite food. And I love Biz. I could just bring a bunch of J's with me and I can listen to Biz for 24 hours, but much rather do that than eat pizza. I mean, I have no more pizza for the next 30 to 50 years, however long I'm going to live.
What would be worse? Listen to me do ad reads or in a room trapped, listen to Cotton Eye Joe. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come?
And you had to dance like the whole time. Like, fucking
24 hours straight.
Holy shit.
What else do we got? Oh, this is a long one. I'll let you take this one. Is this Trevor looks like RA a little bit.
Not right now with this mop on my head. All right, Trevor Nettleton. Do you think the current playoff format takes away from the intensity and passion that is usually seen in playoffs? Who wants to say they won the cup in 2020, the year that shouldn't have been? We'll go to you, Biz.
Well, I disagree. It's a very unique circumstance. So, if anything, in the future, saying, "Oh, remember 2020," and everyone's gonna say, "Yes."
Fuck yeah! No, what happened then?
Yes, we won the Stanley Cup that year. I think, as far as the intensity is concerned, my question mark was the fans just add that much pressure, at least for me anyway, and they kind of create that tension more so. So in order to get it to the level of without the fans in the arena to where it would be with them, I don't know. I have a hard time believing it's going to get there. And that's not taken away from the players either. Like when the fans are all screaming 20,000 of them, man, your heart rate just jumps. And I was the one on the bench, not even the one out on the ice. So I think it's going to affect the intensity.
Yeah, we talked about it on the show. I think I raised it with you, Biz. Is like, there's no one there. I think like I said, it's going to separate the wheat from the chaff, or the chaff from as far as who's competitive and who's less competitive. Not that no one's not competitive. So it's probably a concern as to who wants to say they won the cup in 2020. Listen, whoever wins the 2020 cup or whenever the fuck they play it is still going to have to win 16 playoff games in the NHL. It takes away nothing as far as I'm concerned. We don't talk about the lockout in 95 when the Devils won. We don't talk about the lockout year in 13 when the Blackhawks won. They're a dynasty. No one ever says, no, they're asterisks because they only played fucking 48. No, people forgot there were lockouts those years. No one ever says that. So they're not going to, especially this year, they played fucking 60-something games. So not a concern. Next up.
First of all, Trevor, great question. And to spin off of that, and we're also going to talk about this on the podcast because I'm interested to hear Witt's opinion. Strawman just mentioned the fact about, maybe players not necessarily wanting to come back for whatever reason it may be, safety, at the fact that they're like, let's just go from a clean slate next year. Maybe they're not even interested in the fact that they can recoup some of that revenue and they care more about being with their families. So me saying I'm optimistic and wanting it to come back comes from a place of a fan. If majority of those guys were like, hey, no, it's their lives. It's their decision. And if they don't care about the money, it's like, I can go find other things that entertain me. As far as like the hardcore fans are concerned, if they voice their frustration, I don't know. I've never been in that situation. I'm not a jock sniffer like RA. I'm just kidding. I'm a wicked jock sniffer.
I love it. Yeah, no, believe me, I got a lot of shit when Bettman had the press conference to confirm everything. And I literally finished the blog 20 minutes before that. I wasn't timing it for that. And I said, hey, hockey's not back yet. We got a long way to go. And Devin Dubnyk raised the same concerns as Strawman did, especially for Europeans. Those guys have to come over and miss their families for, not everyone's going to bring their family over from Europe. That's a big fucking deal. So Yeah, of course we want it. I mean, and it seems like the NHL is intent on having the playoffs whenever they can, and then just rebooting the schedule from there. And hey, if that's what it takes, so be it. All right, next up we have Polish Canadian 87. Hey, RA, how did you and Ryan connect to start podcast? Who suggested making it bigger and more widespread? I love this answer. I'll give you. Okay. I met Whit through mutual friends at a bar in town a couple times. Our buddy Brett owned a bar near North Station. We'd bump into each other. He was a longtime stool. He read my stuff. I obviously followed him in the NHL. And we weren't like buddies texting or whatever. We would bump into each other, have a beer, shoot the shit. Very good, casual, fun relationship. And after he got back from Russia, he sent out that tweet. It was, I want to say, December 15th, 2015. And he said, hey, Biz, I'm thinking of starting one of these podcasts, talk about trending topics and this and that and hockey, whatever. And you said, I'm still playing for a couple more years. And I didn't slide. I replied, I says, oh, a partner, eh? Kind of half joking, but like half serious.
Shoot your shot, buddy.
Fucking right, brother. Within 5-10 minutes, Whit slid into my DMs. He's like, you serious, RA? I says, serious as a heart attack. He says, do you know how to start a podcast? I says, I'll learn. And he says, let's do it. That was a week before Christmas. By the Super Bowl, we had our first episode out. February 16, we were chugging along. We were like two SoundCloud rappers, Wayne's World, whatever you want to call it, on the couch every week and fucking having fun. And then, I knew the audio had issues in one episode. We would go rolling, man. We were like fucking Abbott and Costello. Shout out. All the kids will have to Google that one. We were killing each other. I looked over to hit pause and the fucking thing died. I was like, oh no, what? He's like, what do you mean? I goes, dude, it didn't record it because we didn't have a producer on site to say, hey, what happened? The mixer I had shit the bed. I says, hey, you know what, dude? I got an email from this kid from Burlington just last night. I usually don't save them, but this kid was local and I did. That kid's name was Mike Grinelli. Another person who shot his shot. And my mixer literally died the next fucking day. The next fucking day, the mixer died. So we're chugging along. Not long after that, Portnoy. Hey, Dave, he said, I listened to your podcast, which you almost shit my pants because he's not a hockey guy. He goes, it's good. We want to add you to the roster. So boom, me and Whit, we took off. And here's the analogy I use, and I'll end with this. Me and Whit won a title. We got to number one on iTunes, all that. And then we brought Biz along, and Biz made us a dynasty. That's the way I see it.
Get Facts. The Can-I brands out.
No, really. Hey. I mean, you brought us to the level that me and Whit didn't have that vision. You did, and here we are.
Somebody asked a question online that kind of ties into this. What brought you into journalism?
A lifetime of curiosity. I guess I was a newspaper reader since I was like not even 5-6 years old. I was just always a curious kid. And it's funny, I didn't go to college to major in it. I took intro to journalism. I fell into that. And one of my roommates was the co-editor. Actually, both my roommates were co-editors of the paper. And one of them said, I'm going to make you the editor next semester. I was like, dude, I just took the class. He's like, I'm telling you. And he kind of groomed me for it. And I was the editor of the college paper my sophomore year. And then I thought I was going to have a journalism career. And then, of course, the internet fucking murdered everything when we were in college. And then there were no jobs. And I was just, trying to get them here, trying to get them there. I started writing with Barstool in 2007. And then the podcast. And, it took a long time, man. It was no plan. There's no master plan to get where I got. I can't tell you do A, B, C, and D. I just followed my instincts. And it took a while to find professional success, but it's fucking rewarding when it comes.
And it's a good example for anyone who's watching, who's still kind of like, should I do this? Like, how do I become successful at it? Just dive into it.
Yeah. Nothing happens if you don't do it.
We tried out, you try out hello.
Thank you for joining us.
What's up, guys? Did I miss the memo on the NBD hats?
No, that would have been awful if you showed up. We would look like a team.
I would have immediately signed off. That would have been the end of the first AMA that we're doing. Where's Grinelli at?
Wait, your first? Oh, he just popped in to say hi. There he is.
What's up, buddy?
Hey,
Wit dog.
Off the top, who's winning in a 100-meter sprint out of us four?
You easily. Are you kidding me?
Oh no, sorry. The question was who in the NHL currently. I don't know, but did you guys see Wayno in the 100-meter sprint when he went? Who did he go against?
Oh yeah, he dusted like Pele.
Yeah, they were like in their 40s when they did that.
It might have been McEnroe.
Okay, so
yeah, but already still dusting these guys who ran for a living, and he's out on his wheels. Like Gretzky shouldn't even have to run if he doesn't want to.
So who is like? So I was talking to Ray Whitney recently, and he was talking about Gretzky.
The Wizard?
And he said the one thing about Gretzky is he's underrated fast, but what he would do is he would beat you with his first 3 steps, and then he would just skate the same pace. So he would never really burn out. He was such an intelligent player that way. And I mean, it made a lot of sense. I just never had those first 3 steps either. So
who's reading? Where are the questions? Who are those going to?
Just on the bottom there. If you just,
it's in the purple there on the bottom of the screen.
I see.
So RA told his perspective of how the whole podcast started when you sent out that original tweet. And he said that, you guys had been pals for so long that he just, slid right into your DMs and it all happened.
You said we were pals for so long?
You believe
it? Was that a tee up? Did you just tee me up there, man?
Oh, yeah. Glide and sinker.
I will say, RA, we met the one time at North Star. Shout out North Star, no longer around. And we had a good talk. I had read your stuff reading Barstool, but then I say all the time, once I sent the tweet out, Biz, you weren't around, and then RA, you messaged me, let's do it. I was just like, okay, and I look back, I think I'm the only person that would just, without even like having a beer or lunch, just start a pod with somebody else. So it worked out.
I got a question for you before we get to this really good one. How many times when it was the original podcast, or even when G jumped on board, how many times did you go to RA's place to record and he slept in?
That's twice. RA.
Twice. The second, I don't remember. I remember the one time because I just was dead to the world. When was the second time?
I remember hammering on your door and calling you nonstop. And you're at the point as the caller where, to me, Biz, tell me if you know what I'm saying. He's not answering, but you just want there to be like 700 missed calls to show how many times. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I remember thinking, I'm like, I snapped it around in the NHL for 10 years. And now I'm doing this, and this guy can't even wake up like I'm a piece of shit.
What time was it? What time was it?
11:30.
He's like, this is unacceptable. He was like a principal yelling at me.
Okay.
I don't remember the second time.
Well, what happened was, because it's like we had taught. It's so funny that the second time, Grinelli, was when you had your new Scotty Cameron that you were showing me.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't care what the fuck, it's Scotty Cameron right now. Where is RA?
Yep. See, I thought I woke up late one time and we got it. I'll defer to you two, but I know the one time I definitely slept through it.
Can we do a documentary? If we do the podcast for 5 more years, can we do a documentary at the end?
Sure. But we have to answer fan questions while doing an AMA.
No caller ID. I get these no caller IDs. Oh. Anytime we do Chiclets Cup every Friday and Tuesday night, and now we're on this stream, I'm getting a no caller ID. If I answer it,
answer it.
Hello? Definitely. No one. Stop calling me. And you can't block it.
Okay, this is a great question.
Only when I sign on, I think somebody's doing it and blocking now. They just won, but still.
Let me ask you this question. Of all the interviews you've done with Spittin Chiclets, what was the most entertaining and why? And I'll start off by answering this. And I think that Tim Stapleton's too easy of an answer.
I know.
I'm going to say Sanderson. To hear firsthand what it was like playing against the Bobby Orrs and the generation before I never got to see Bobby Orr in his prime. And he played with them and he just dove into these stories. He was elaborating. He clearly had lived a very similar lifestyle to the way I did at the NHL level, but even more so. And
he's open to talk about it.
And he's open. He was calling them at bats.
I think immediately you said, hey, I'm going to reuse that. I'll give you credit, but I'm going to reuse that.
Hey, yoink. What about you? What about you, RA?
Yeah, Tim Stapleton is such the obvious answer because it was so riotously funny and it was the funniest episode we ever did. So we'll say we won't use that one. But, God, there's so fucking many of them. Ronnie McLean was very entertaining because he come in that room and he
journal. That's a journal answer. All right, for sure.
Absolutely.
He was the master of teaching us how things work in interviews.
That's what it was. But I remember just sitting there watching him and listening to him, and like he knew what we needed that day. He knew we would have been working, for a bit that week, and he came in and he delivered, and it was very entertaining. He was a very good storyteller. So I'm going to go with Ron McLean.
I think that 2 things stick out. The first, though, the number one was when we went over Keith's house and Hazy was there, and then what happened?
I got a no caller ID.
Yeah, call. So it's somebody now. It's somebody doing it on purpose. It must not be a bot. Now we just gave him the gift.
It's either Walsh
Foley.
But yeah, Foley. Yeah, sick prank Foley. It would more be the time I was saying we went over to Keith Yandle's. Hazy was there, and then Biz was Skyped in. And I thought that was like one of the first times, or there had been others, but where it was like Keith, my buddy growing up, Hazy and him had become best buddies. And all of the times in the gym or golf course where I'm dying laughing, I was like, that was what just happened on that podcast. I don't know. When was that?
I think that was when people ask us that what is the best podcast we've ever done. I think that one might be the best. I think it's because of the answer when we're like, all right, biggest cock on the Rangers, 1, 2, 3, go. And they answered it.
We don't need to go into too much detail. There might be kids listening.
I think we should probably give a special nomination, special nod to Biz here, because before we brought him on the show, he was our biggest hit, which is pretty much why we brought him onto the show.
That was when I was telling the crazy stories. I'm going it back a little bit.
You'll grow up, Biz. It's good.
Yeah.
Hey, the other thing was the whole West Coast wagon tour, because the Yandel Hayes one was hilarious. But we were still at Keith's house. Then all of a sudden we're on the road with Purcell and Bugsy, and then it was being at the All-Star game with like great access. I think that's when I was like, oh boy, this is taking off.
Somebody asked about my former coach, Mike Stuthers.
Your foreskin?
No, my former coach. It's just right here at the bottom. It says there.
Sorry.
If you just read. It's asked about my former coach, Mike Stuthers, won a Calder Cup with him. We're actually going to save that for the podcast, but it was unfortunate to see him let go. 6 years he spent with the Kings organization. We'd spent time in Manchester together, then moved to Ontario, which, I mean, segueing out of the Stuthers stuff, and we'll save it for the podcast, is that new Western division in the American Hockey League.
Oh, it's the best living in maybe the NHL.
Yeah. You purposely
Seriously.
get sent down to go. Palm Springs is getting injected into that division, as well as Henderson, which is the town right outside of Vegas. What do they got? The Silver Foxes or something? Henderson,
Silver Knights.
Okay, Silver Knights. My bad. So, and then they got San Diego in that division, and
Biz, they get mad fans there too. San Diego, I think it's 10,000 a game.
Yeah, they're nuts.
So
then they're at that old Coliseum too. I don't think I fought Grattan actually in that building, or maybe I did once. But either way, like they still like that old school style of play, and I mean, you get to live in San Diego.
You mean McGrattan or Josh Grattan?
No, McGrattan. McGrattan played for the San Diego Gulls.
Dude,
oh yeah, that was in Ice Guardians.
Yeah.
Henderson?
I was asked actually to be in Ice Guardians. So I guess kind of we ramble.
You said no to something?
What's that?
You said no to something?
You weren't paying him. It's a documentary.
Yep.
No.
There we go.
So listen.
Do
you remember, I told you guys a story about Dean Lombardi when I called Stutzy and Feuds. I said, listen, I'm in a bad spot. I said I need a place to play, and they called Dean Lombardi and he gave it the okay. And he goes, just tell him to stay the fuck off Twitter. So I really, really toned down all the social media. And then also that season, I think we only lost 11 regular season games. We were on this heater. And given the fact that I'd reached out to him because I didn't have a team to play on, and they'd given me the opportunity, I didn't want to come in and be a distraction. I ended up being in the documentary because I fought Gallant twice. And this is a funny side story. So Gallant, who was playing in Bridgeport, we fought right away at the start of the game because he also had the camera crew following him around. So I wanted to give him one. And I got the better of the first scrap. And then he asked me again, and I thought it's because he wanted a better showing. And then I found out that was his third time doing 2 scraps in a game, and he was getting a game suspension. So he didn't have to play in the back-to-back. And on the Sunday when we played our second game, he got to go fishing. So that guy got out of the game, and I had to go eat a couple of his punches.
Did he get you better in the second one?
Oh yeah, he's a tough.
Wow.
Him and his brother are tough customers. His brother was playing in San Jose with the Barracuda. They weren't getting any fans. There was 200 people there.
Dude, I'll tell you, Henderson is going to crush it because it's only 20 minutes away from Vegas. In Vegas, it's expensive, and that's because it's a strip. They're just strip prices. But the tickets are going to start at $10. They're going to be sold out all the time. It's going to be huge. And then having to have your AHL thing down the street, that's huge for an organization. And Foley took a shot. He's like, we're not going to have an orphaned stepchild here or something like that. Basically, it was a dig at all the other franchises.
You can't.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. You can't. All right, what are you crushing?
He's on his 10th
little wine and Kugels, yeah.
All right, so we might see some RA action here. Wait. About that, Biz. Hell of a move, staying off Twitter. I mean, I knew you needed the contract, but it was like, that's mature of you. Did you ever write out tweets and just like almost like send them, or you just save them, or were you just off the internet?
I'm going to be honest. It was nice to get away for a little bit because it was intense. What German? But speaking of Twitter, what do you guys think about Max Kellerman's statement on Twitter? I'll let RA start because he loves going at this stuff.
You know what? Biz, a bunch of people tagged me, and I just said, don't take the bait. It's ESPN troll shit. Like, I respect guys. They work. Stephen A. Smith, that's what they do. They say stupid shit to get people to watch the show, to pass the stuff around. And I don't want to be part of that. And that's why when Chief wrote the blog, don't be triggered by Max Kellerman's statement, I'm like, well, you just wrote a blog, so you obviously got triggered by it. But I love what you did. Say, hey, I'll take you to a game, make it wiggle for you. I'll buy you drinks. And I thought the way you handled it was great. But me, I'm like, whatever. I have my issues with ESPN and the NHL. I wasn't going to go there.
My one thing about sports, and like I wasn't necessarily the biggest soccer fan. Of course, the diving deterred me a little bit, and it's a little low scoring. But when you go to an experience, when I went and played over in Cardiff in the EIHL, when I was basically Sidney Crosby over there, thank you very much. I went to a Cardiff City game, and they ended up winning the second league down, and they got. Is it relegated? Does that mean getting bumped up?
No, relegated means you go down.
Okay, well, they went the other way. I know English isn't my first language. But it was cool. I got to go experience a game when they were on top, and like the fans are into it and they're chanting the whole time, and it's experience. So then after that, watching soccer, and especially like when you're getting to like the world, the Premier League and the Champions League, there's 100,000 people, and you kind of remember the chanting, and you can only imagine how much more intense it is. So getting a live experience will make you a fan of most sports if you go and enjoy it and experience the way it should be.
Yeah, but I'm more on RA's side that I don't think he even cares. It's like a little jab he can throw. It's getting his name all over the internet or whatever, all over the hockey internet that we see. Sweet, that's a sweet crew lately, but. I think that if you look and you actually see Kellerman ever say anything smart about anything but boxing, it's a miracle, or someone's telling him, because they have like he's a perfect boxing guy, analyst, whatever, and then they throw him on ESPN and he just has to pretend like he knows about every sport. Like I could never go on there because I wouldn't know enough about the other sports. He'll just throw out wild clown claims and know that people get rattled by it.
And look what happened.
Everyone got rattled now. Although I don't know, I guess writing the blog means Chiefs rattled, but I guess he was more trying to give the message you just gave to a large audience.
I was breaking his balls, like obviously because the blog was actually very well written. I love Chief, we know that. And by the way, it's called Promotion and Relegation. If you go down, you get relegated. You go up, it's getting promoted.
Promoted. Okay, thank you, Ra. Sure. Who wants to read the next one?
I think Whit should.
What's the story behind Rick from Red Deer? Did that happen organically, or was that planned? It's my favorite bit you guys do. So, funny enough, Crowley's kitten. I think this guy might be trolling because I've gotten a lot of give up the Rick from Red Deer shtick. People get sick of
We don't do shticks.
I've heard from a couple people, shticks. I'm talking about a fan that has to plug his car in at night because it's freezing up there, just getting rattled. So, I would say that it happened by us talking about the Battle of Alberta, and then I think we were talking, we were saying something incorrect. We had no clue what we were talking about, which is kind of happens quite often. And then we imagined this guy from Red Deer in my head. He popped into my head I always thought him as a Flames fan. People say he's an Oilers fan, but just listening and wanting hockey talk and breaking down the X's and O's, and instead he's got us just talking about like The Bachelor or something on TV, or RA's favorite Simpson episode. And there he was born. So I don't think it's a shtick one bit.
No, you pulled it off the top of your head. You just like Rick from Red Deer. We all started dying laughing, and that was it, man.
Red Deer has diehard hockey fans, Biz. You know that.
Oh, yeah. What else we got? We got another one?
That was Crowley's kitten, by the way, who asked about Rick from Red Deer.
Crowley's kitten.
Little shout out.
Who's the girl? Oh, Carol Baskin.
Oh yeah. Oh,
they got the prison. Not the prison. Well, the prison for the zoo animals. She got the zoo. She got Joe Exotic Zoo in like a lawsuit or something.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and then the sheriffs come out and said that her dead husband's name was forged on the document that got her all that property. So
stop starting rumors, RA. What moment did you fall in love with the game of hockey?
You want to go first, one of you guys?
Go ahead, Whit.
I wouldn't remember the exact moment. Anything in my memory is just I was obsessed with hockey from the first time I remember anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I don't remember anything before kindergarten, and even then I remember some things. My memory's bizarre. I can remember every single golf shot someone hits, but I can't remember what I was told to get at the store when I'm sent down by my wife. So I don't know when I fell in love with hockey. I just was always obsessed with it. So you're the loser, Biz.
I know. First, I would say I originally fell in love with hockey. And keep in mind, my mom used to bring me to like skate when I was like, I mean, the videos, I must have been 2. I was just walking on the ice, like, and you're I didn't even have the chair, but you had like the double blades. And when I started playing house league, I got bumped up really quick because I was naturally good. The only time I was ever somewhat decent at my level. So I remember them bumping me up, and that positive reinforcement, like I felt that I was really good at something, just kind of initially made me fall in love with it. And I stuck with it, and there was a few bumps along the road, but it was probably right from that house league mark around the age of like 5 or 6. And from then on, I mean, I really fell in love with it when I got that Wayne Gretzky aluminum stick underneath my couch for Christmas the
silver one.
I think I got the gold one, but maybe it was silver. I have the photo on my phone, but we were all done opening our presents, and I was happy, and my dad was like, what's that under the couch? And my mom was like, yeah, I think I see something.
Same thing.
And I went under there, and like right away you grab it and you're like, oh my God, there's no way. And it's in wrapping, and then you unwrap it, and they caught the moment, probably on, I don't know what camera they had at the time. They don't got them like these days. They caught the moment when I kind of looked at it and looked back at them, and boom, snap. And
that picture's been, you've had that picture on the internet, right? Like, that's been out there. It's an unreal one.
Yeah, and that was like the OG. That was like the first time there was ever a 2-piece stick like that, and it was that's when it ramped up even higher.
It's probably one of those old VCR things that like basically like a newsman out there putting your shoulder and shit. I mean, I say I fell in love with hockey in utero, like when I was in my mother's stomach, because legit, my mother and father had season tickets for the 71-72 season, and well, I was conceived in August of 71. So from that whole season, I basically gestated in my mother as they went to every single Bruins game during the 71-72 season. They actually won the cup down in Madison Square Garden that year, but the 3 games they played in Boston, my mother was at all those games 9+ months pregnant with me. So I was fully formed in the garden at these fucking games because I couldn't skate for shit. I've acknowledged that. So when I come out, it was just always Bruins, man. I don't ever remember not having the Bruins in my life, like being a little kid watching them on TV. It was just born into it. I mean, literally, like from the womb, born into being Bruins fans, a Bruins family, always watching them. So I say I fell in love as an embryo.
That's a great answer, RA.
Thank you.
She had the game call. She had the headphones on her tummy, so you could listen in.
She was gassing beers and ripping fucking heaters back then.
Oh, come on.
70s, they didn't give a fuck.
If you could live in any U.S. city other than the one you're currently in.
Ooh.
Wait, if you could, I'm pretending like I can't see it because I messed up the sentence. If you could live in any U.S. city other than your current one, where you're living and why? Where are you living and why?
It means where are you living?
Is that poor sentence structure or sentence structure or bad reading?
No, it's
a little bit of both.
Okay, thanks.
Should have been able to figure that one out. But what's yours, Ari? I don't know yet.
Shit, this is one of those. If 20 years ago, it'd be a different answer. But like if I had to pack up and move right now, I'd want to be near the water because when you grow up in Boston, you need to be near the water. So I know you guys would probably laugh, but probably Sarasota. Like that's a good spot, Florida.
Laugh. I mean, it was Panama Beach or Sarasota. It works out perfect.
Probably Sarasota. It's not it's a good happening place. It's kind of quiet. Your Tampa's right there. It's a good spot. If not that, maybe Nashville. Nashville's a fucking awesome city.
Yes, Nashville's sick. Biz, what about you?
Anywhere in the world, I'd probably live in Victoria, British Columbia.
U.S. U.S.
Oh, it has to be in U.S. Then it would probably be Denver, as opposed to listen.
Denver's sick.
Mile high.
Scottsdale is unbelievable and was ranked, I think, #1 city to be in while quarantined. Just given like everything, the weather, like 9 months of the year, it's perfect. It is cooking right now, but I think Denver, just given, you got the mountains where you can go hiking. Oh, did we lose RA? Was my answer that bad? Did he leave us? I'd say Denver. I think that's a good answer. No, Whit?
RA just remembered that he brought home a huge thing of edibles from Denver one time. He's like, oh, I knew I left those in the closet. He just ripped away to get them.
Yeah, it's like, how to get through hip security.
It's been 2 years, and he couldn't remember till he heard the word Denver.
Well, that and all the drugs that I ingest are easy to get in Colorado, so that's why I want to go there.
Yeah, so, I mean, I love Jupiter, Florida, but I wouldn't want to be there all summer. I'd have to be able to go somewhere in the summer. It's too hot. So year-round, any other U.S. city, this is tough. Chicago or San Diego?
Chicago
or San Diego?
Dude, I was going to say San Diego's got to be the answer. I've never been there, so
I'm not someone that I mean, I like to golf, but I don't mind like some bad months, a couple, especially if you can get away.
You like the grind?
I love it. I love it there.
All right, what's the next one?
This one's up there. Scott,
that might be a call.
Craziest coaches Biz and Wits have ever had. I mean,
crazy.
I don't want to say crazy, but Stuthers was intense, and that's why I love them. And the accountability, I think that's transferred over into my everyday life, where being a grown up, you have to be more and more and more accountable. And I think that's why sports are so important. And to put I'm going to put my kids in a sport just so they can, not only learn the accountability, but the teamwork and the camaraderie. And so I'd say Stuthers was the most intense. Like the funny thing about Stutzy is we were in junior and we'd be watching video and he'd have the laser pointer out and he'd stop it and he'd be like, in front of the whole room. So it was a no holds bar roast fest every time we were doing video, which was comical. Most guys would be in their jerseys like this until it was their turn. And then they'd be like, oh, poor me. I turned it over and got yelled at.
I feel when you're younger, the coaches are crazier. I wonder if that's still the same. I think it's probably starting to switch, but Parker at BU, Jack Parker, legendary coach. He had a temper. He would snap sometimes. I remember hallway treatment because you could drag the guys off the bench at Walter Brown Arena and kind of down the runway to the locker room, and he'd just drag me down there. He's screaming in my face. I remember that.
Times were different back then.
One time, yeah, it was great. It's made you play better, I thought. Now, if you did it all the time, it was ridiculous, but it wasn't like that. It was only very occasional. But one time he was so mad. We were up at Cornell getting smoked, and they had a rivalry from back in the 70s, Cornell and BU, and they're pounding us. Their team was sick, and he comes in, he's screaming at us. I've never seen anything like it. And his face started getting red and purple, and he was a little older at the time. And the trainer, Larry, went over, he's like, Jack, it was the older you get, you start realizing you can't continue to get as mad as you're getting. So he definitely chilled out a little bit after that. His later years, they won a national title, but he was nuts once in a while. But a legend.
All right, I guess you can't answer that one.
Yeah,
I'm
thinking my basketball coach in high school, my baseball coach. Biz, you're probably the closest I've had to a coach in the last 30 years. I would say more than anybody. And I know I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
Actually, quick funny story. I sucked at baseball.
He's the craziest coach.
My team was so desperate for players that my principal's like, Brian, you want to play baseball? I'm like, Mr. Kale, I'm terrible. He's like, I don't have a glove. He's like, I'll get you a glove. I was like, oh, they really need players. So I played baseball. I wasn't a starter. I was off the bench. And it was one day I got on base. I think I walked and no one gave me a signal. No one told me nothing. I just said, fuck it. I'm going to steal a base. So I somehow miraculously stole second. Then the inning ended and the coach he was an old guy. He's like, what did you do that for? I was like, I don't know. I just felt like he took me out of the game. And that was the fucking last time I played baseball.
Oh, no.
one lifetime stolen days. Watch out, Ricky Henderson.
I think the coach was right. I think the coach was right in that situation.
Absolutely. I don't give a fuck.
I'm kidding. What do we got here? What school would Biz pick if you could go back and go to college route? What
Arizona State.
What program would Whit play for if he went major junior? Do you want to answer it first?
London Knights get paid absolute cake. And
you can't say that anymore. You can't say that. We're not talking about the London Knights getting.
Fair enough. London.
We don't
Knights,
make those jokes.
What a city, and your team just pounds everyone else in the OHL.
Oh man,
Biz, Arizona State has a team now.
Well, I know, but they didn't back then. I'd have to go back. I think the first team and really the only team, because I was going major junior the whole time. I knew I was going top 2 rounds. Come on.
This is a major junior guy. Can you tell?
OHL guy here.
OHL guy here.
I think Notre Dame was something that I would have considered. I don't even think I got any official letters, but I think that they came up at some point, and that's a pretty good school. I mean, if I wasn't going to make pro, to have that type of education would be awesome. But yeah, if it was now, ASU for sure. And their and once they get their new arena here, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
What's the closest QMJ Quebec Major Junior? Yeah, QMJHL team to Montreal. Is it Laval or is there one in?
I think there's a couple around there. Isn't there?
That's where I'd want to play.
Really, you're a Montreal guy.
Love Montreal.
Well,
Love
Quebec City would be a cool place to play.
Yes. I've heard that's an awesome city, Biz, Quebec. I've heard nothing but awesome shit about it.
Yeah, I played in a Pee Wee tournament there in 1997. It was the world championship. We won. South Shore Kings 83 team.
Okay, somebody start reading the questions because I can't read anymore.
All right.
How long does this thing go?
Probably another like 5-10 minutes if we can get some good questions.
All right. This one is from OB Liam 97. If you had this is a tough one. We like it. We love everybody in the league, but if you had to move any team to a new location / city, what team would you move in? Where would you move them?
I don't mind this question. I mean, immediately you got a fan base that's going to despise you once they see me say it. But you go.
I'd move the Blues to Kansas City. No, I'm playing.
Oh yeah, great. Okay,
come on, all right.
That's a troll job. I'm joking. Fuck, man. I mean, I know Florida's the obvious guess because they don't draw, but they're trying so hard to do the right thing out there. But it's just the arena situation sucks, and I don't know. Quebec deserves a team. I know that's the most probably obvious, logical thing to say, but I mean, if I were to have to do that, what was best for the NHL? Yeah, I would probably move the Panthers to Quebec.
Jans is gonna hate your guts.
Yeah. I don't know. He can go down to Montreal and party.
Man, it's actually harder than I thought.
Very difficult question on the spot.
Yeah, I think probably the Canes. I mean, they're getting better.
They're getting way better. It's not even close.
Hey,
take it back.
No, because when they aren't good, if they aren't good again, there's just nobody there. So I mean, you got to be really good every year to be there. So I'm not choosing. I'm not like, hey, the Canes need to move. But if you're going to ask me the question, they'd be the team. I don't know where though, so that's what makes it difficult. That's why it proves that I actually don't mind the Canes being in Raleigh. So, Biz, don't try to put words in my mouth or cause a stir. I'll stay on as long as you want. Don't try to fuck with me. I just buried you on that.
I was Max Kellerman there.
Maxie.
However, I'll play the Stephen Smith part.
I love Stephen A. I think that guy is classic.
He's great, man. He's branded himself.
He's an entertainer.
Absolutely.
I'm having a hard time answering the question, and I could imagine some of the messages that are coming up.
I'm sure
right
that the
yeah. You guys are so predictable.
But maybe just a Scottsdale, Biz.
Planet
the 50-minute drive to Glendale.
Wouldn't even consider moving AZ
in the gonads.
I would. I'm going to skip this question. I can't think of anything interesting.
Pussy.
I'll come back to it. I'm dressed like one, all right.
Hey,
that's comfy though, huh? That Pink Whitney tie-dye.
All right, Matthew M. We'll go to Biz first. What's your favorite piece of memorabilia you kept from your hockey career?
True. That's a decently long list. 3-game point streak pucks. Arizona Coyotes got me a little plaque because I went on a 3-game heater. No big deal. And it was actually on the Canadian road trip. It was that one where I had 2 assists in Edmonton, I believe. And I had one in Edmonton, Vancouver, and Calgary. So Rick from Red Deer was punching the steering wheel that morning. I have the game sheet from my first ever NHL game. and like Crosby and Malkin's on it, Alfredson, and it was the one that was played in the World Premier Games. So that's pretty cool. I have a gold medal from the under 18 World Championships to go along with the team. The Team Canada got us a ring as well. And my probably my what do you call it? My Calder Cup ring as well. So it's hard to really put one into that category with.
Just a reminder to everyone from Biz what he's done. I mean, he's going to build a nice room for all his hardware at his new house because you have a lot of medals and rings. I didn't realize that.
Well, I mean, did you win any championships?
World
Juniors?
I won the Quebec Pee Wee World Championship.
That's the last time you won anything?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let's think about it. Won the Eastern Conference? Does that count? That's a trophy. That's a trophy.
That's the
Prince of Wales.
Trophy.
Prince of Wales
trophy.
They gave me a mini one and I lost it because I don't want that. I got second place for a golf tournament. My partner, legend Mike Riley, my buddy, he saw me just throw it away. He's like, dude, what are you doing? I don't keep second place piece of shit trophy. So yeah, I don't have much. I have the silver medal, which actually it feels like you win the bronze and the gold and you lose the silver, but still looking back, it's an Olympic medal. I get that hanging up somewhere. And I have a Lidstrom stick, sandpaper finish, signed.
I obviously didn't play, but when I did sneak into the Red Wings locker room that night, I'm going to confess I did grab a roll of tape and take it for a souvenir that night just because I knew it would never happen again. So guilty Pittsburgh police. I stole tape.
McCarty's jockstrap.
No.
Still sniffs it before big podcast.
Hey, remember how you had the what did you have signed by Pedro Martinez?
Oh, the paper from an Altoids can.
The paper from an out. Hey, he took a Ziploc bag and drenched McCarty's jockstrap sweat and kept it. It's still in a Ziploc and his where he found the edibles from Denver earlier.
Dude, there's nothing sicker than going through what do you call it? TSA and then cleaning your fucking clothes out and finding weed in your bag that you put right through the metal detector.
I don't know about that one.
Care about that, do they?
They don't. That's when I realized they don't.
Have you ever had to shit during a game, Whit? Have you ever left the bench?
No. Nope.
There's a funny story, and you could find it on the Arizona Coyotes. Their team website. We did a pillow talk with Ray Whitney, and when he was playing in Carolina, he'd been eating is it cabbage soup or cabbage rolls? He'd been eating a lot of cabbage rolls. And his stomach was rumbling while they were listening to the anthem, and he thought he had a fart, and he let it out, and he just completely shit his pants. But the thing is, in the NHL, when you're on the list, you can't sub anyone out. You have to start the game, and if you start somebody who was not on the game sheet as a starter, they get kicked out of the game. So he had to take the opening shift with shit in his drawers, and then of course after he just went right down the tunnel and missed for half of the first period.
So the thoughts have lumps.
I believe that Daniel Paille shit his pants on a breakaway in the NHL when he was playing with the Bruins. That's
literally or like figuratively.
He got a lot of breakaways.
No, I think he pooped his pants. It might have been in the NHL. Maybe it was in minor hockey, and I'm getting the stories mixed up. But we used to call him Horse, and he's from Welland, Ontario, and we all had the same coaches and stuff. So I've heard that story before. So
he's such an awesome guy, isn't he? Paille.
Incredible guy. They were huge, that fourth line that year when they won it. Now RA is going to just drool talking about the Bruins.
I need a minute.
Yeah, get the Kleenex out. What was the? I told the story on the podcast. I never did it in the course of a game or had to leave. But when I was doing my paper route when I was younger, it was a little bit away from my place because somebody had the route by my place and I wanted to do paper route and make some money. So I would have to drive my bike like a couple miles to start my route. And on the way, I'm just, putting away. And then all of a sudden I lean over, take a fart and shit my drawers. I finished the route, played through it. And for whatever reason, when I got home, I took off my underwear and I put them at the bottom of the hamper. And I never forget that night, my mom called me over and she's like,
"That is a savage."
She's like, "What are you doing here, bud? Like, just throw them."
Are you on drugs?
I panicked, boys. I panicked.
I panicked. Biz, how about the paper route? The big paper on Saturday, it sucked.
Wow. Yeah.
We do have one for the weekend.
No?
Listen, I did something
Patriot
stupid.
Ledger was Saturday.
Oh, my bad. I was thinking the Globe or the Herald. Sorry.
And you never used to get paid to deliver the flyers either. That's what sucked.
You had to load the flyers in. Took like 30 minutes, but I'd rollerbladed. That's where I got that long stride, just the paper route.
I'll say this. The paper route initially taught me how to manage money. And once you earned it, and you remember you had to get up in the morning. I delivered in, I believe, 6 a.m. So I'd be getting up at 5:45. So when you would go collect and you would earn your money, it taught you the value of $1. I mean, I had a job at a young age. I believe I was 10 years old.
Be thankfully not a degenerate gambler then. By the way, you mentioned Ray Whitney a couple of times tonight. The Wizard is such an awesome guy. I was very fortunate to meet him in our travels earlier this season a couple of times, and he is a fucking awesome dude. He's such a great guy.
If we were ever able to get him on the podcast, his father was the trainer and he was the stick boy for when the Oilers were in their dynasty. He's played everywhere. He's played with so many different guys that have.
He knows everyone.
He knows everyone. He's also a smaller guy who made it in a very big man's game early on. And I was talking to him the other night, and he was talking about Theo Fleury, and people don't understand that Theo Fleury paved the way for small guys, and he did so by clawing for every inch. And you know, I don't think Theo necessarily gets the respect he deserves. Is Theo in the Hall of Fame?
No, he should be though.
Yes,
yeah.
That's weird.
All right, I think this is the last one. I think G said, what is the loudest barn you guys have played in? Well, back in 72 on that time. Go ahead, Whitney.
RA played street hockey in an actual barn, like in Vermont, when he goes on vacation.
We won.
The loudest.
I can start off.
Yeah.
Chicago? So, okay, well, Chicago was going to be one of my two answers. Chicago in playoffs when we beat them in 6 the one year with the Coyotes. How are you? The one game I played 1 second, got kicked out after fighting Bolig, but coming out of the tunnel when they were playing Stranglehold and the lights were off. And remember, the United Center was built for MJ. So I still believe, other than maybe Montreal, it's one of the highest seating arenas in the NHL. Yeah. And just when you're coming out to Stranglehold, and that's when they were still in the midst of their dynasty, and it was the hottest ticket in town. It was something else. And even when I was a healthy scratch, which was a lot of the time when we would play in Chicago, I would quickly get all my gear off, get in my gitch, and I would run around to where the Zamboni entrance, and I would always listen to the anthem there and how intense it was. And my second answer would be Vegas. Of course they had that tragedy in Vegas, and the first ever game was against the Coyotes, and I was doing the broadcast. I couldn't hear myself think, and they established themselves as one of the loudest arenas. Now I don't go travel on the road, but I dreaded going in there because the whole time you can't focus on the broadcast because it's too loud. It's crazy. The Golden Knights have established themselves as one of the craziest fan bases. If not the craziest.
NHL, Montreal's right there too, the way the seats are. But the loudest one was the arena in Halifax for the World Juniors. 04, I think. Maybe 03.
When Tutu was breathing down your neck?
Ask any Upshaw was on Canada. We've talked to a bunch of guys in that game. And it was, you could not hear yourself. Like you said, you couldn't hear the coaches. You couldn't hear each other like on the ice trying to talk at moments. It was so cool. And they just, I mean, you imagine being Canada and just having that like behind you. It was just, they were on a train. And Russia won.
I actually have one more answer, although I feel like they've been dethroned of this. The first year Winnipeg was reintroduced into the NHL. Where'd they come from? Atlanta?
Yeah.
I was playing with the Coyotes at the time, and I would say that the first couple experiences there, those fans, and I know the arena's not very big, but that was one of the crazier ones. They've gotten a little bit, I don't want to say corporate, but a little bit of jam has came off. So that pretty much wraps it up.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to give a non-NHL game category because I've been to so many playoff Bruins games. I don't know what the fucking decibels were, but one of the loudest fucking crowds I ever heard in that building. Dennis Leary Witt, how he did that skating game charity years ago, and Michael J. Fox come on the ice, and he had recently been diagnosed with with his Parkinson's, and he still had some mobility, but he wasn't 100%. And he came on the ice in full gear, and honestly, it might have been the loudest fucking crowd I ever heard inside the Fleet Center, TD Garden, whatever it was called back then.
When was that?
Fuck, man. It was probably 18, 19 years ago. It was a long time ago. And I remember just like the place just fucking exploded because of the situation. And everyone loves Michael J. Fox, of course. But
the Boston Garden was. I saw the Bruins beat the Canadiens in Game 7 at home. I don't know what year it was. Maybe it wasn't Game 7, and the place was insane.
That reminded me of a story, RA, is when Gord Downey and the Tragically Hip were doing that tour across Canada. I got a text asking me if I wanted to go to the concert. He was doing back-to-back shows in Vancouver, and I was like, well, of course. Yeah. And that was probably if we're talking about live experiences, that was probably probably the coolest live experience of my life, and how touching it was. He came back for 2 encores, and it was just the energy in the building was like nothing I'd ever experienced in my entire life. And rest in peace to Gord Downey. Tragically Hip is that's Canada to me. That's Canadian royalty.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I wasn't even familiar with them. For some reason, they just never latched on down here as much as they did up there. But yeah, I'm familiar with that story. But I think that was the last question, boys. I just got a message from G. I think we're gonna wrap it up. Do you guys got any final things you want to share with the audience, or?
No, I'm gonna go make a pizza from Town Spa Pizza in Stoughton. Place is phenomenal. Crush a pizza right now. Yeah, I deserve it. Friday night, right, boys?
Treat yourself.
I got one coming as well. So listen, listeners, thanks so much for sending all your questions in. It was a fun time. Hopefully the Chiclets couple will be back next week. We're just working on some logistical things with EA Sports. So keep in touch. We love everybody, and we love the support. Have a great weekend, everybody.
What was this called?
AMA. S&M.
First AMA.
S&M with Biz and RA.
All right. See you guys.
Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Love you guys.